Hello and welcome back. I know it's been a little while since I've, made a actual video and not just uploaded a stream onto the channel. But I always said, anytime new D&D stuff comes out, that isn't, I know there was a weird little like subscriber couple spells and the feet in the background. I took a look at them and then I was like, realistically, I was just lazy. I was just being lazy and I was tired from work and I just ended up not making that video. But this is a whole ass new supplement. So of course I'm back to talk about stuff. I'm recording this almost right after my stream yesterday because my streaming day is Tuesday. I'm thinking about multi-streaming to YouTube, by the way. I'll have to figure that out. I'll have to look into that. But point being, so I don't have some time because I got to go to work tomorrow. I don't have too much time, so luckily there is something I could cover real quick. And anyway, it was one of the things I was most excited for, which is the new species, or the 2024 rules versions of the Van Richten lineages, or the Ravenloft lineages. I have up in front of us the old Dhampir from, because this time I'm actually going to kind of compare a little bit, and just because I'm curious to see what changes there are. This is the old Dhampir, where we used to be medium or we have medium or small, walking speed is 30 feet. We got ancestral legacy, any skill proficiency, blah blah blah. This is back when the legacies you could have been a different species before turning into one of these, and so some of your traits would carry over. You had dark vision, you got deathless nature, you didn't need to breathe, spider climbing at 3rd level, and then you had this bite, natural weapon, simple melee weapon, blah 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 blah. I'm sure most of y'all are familiar with this because actually I have Astarion's Book of Hungers here as well, because where'd he go? There's Dhampir. I am suspecting, I haven't taken a look at it, you do not understand how hard it was for me to not look at the species before I ended up streaming, because I'm an idiot and I lost track of what day that the master tier subscribers were going to get early access, and I found out that was today, the day of recording. Anyway, this should be uploaded on Wednesday. I tided myself over by zooming through the bestiary, and I gotta say, I'm very happy of the cosmic horror representation. There's a lot of good, fucked up creatures and cosmic nonsense in the bestiary of this new book. So I definitely recommend checking it out for that too. But we got the Dhampir. First up is the Dhampir, by the way, alphabetically and etc. But we got the Dhampir in Astarion's Book of Hungers, and it had dark vision, had the spider climb at 3rd level. Again, trace of undeath, which is resistance to necrotic damage instead of not needing to breathe. Which, I mean, I think it would have been interesting if we still had not needing to breathe, because you're kind of an undead. And then we got the updated vampiric bite, which I remember going on a whole rant about, or a theorizing rant about, because now the thing, at least in the Astarion's book, which I'm gonna assume is gonna be the one that's transplanted into the book, is you can replace an unarmed strike with your piercing with one of your bites that you can drain or strengthen, which has synergy with if you are playing a monk or a dance bard or a barbarian, and people, or you take the unarmed fighting style as like a fighter, where you have other shit that happens as an unarmed strike. But the fact that the bite counts as an unarmed strike allows some cool synergies, right? I went on a full rant of that. If you want to listen to it, me theorizing what you could do with it, you can check out the video about Astarion's Book of Hungers. But moving over here to the latest book, we have the Dhampir. Vampire Crown has some good art as well. I do like the kind of how grainy it is. I think that's the right word. How grainy, or is it painted? I don't know. Let's see. Did they just transfer it over? 35 feet, humanoid, medium or small, dark vision, climb speed level 30, arm strike, constitution modifier. Yep, it looks like they just 1-to-1 yanked it from Asterions and just stuck it in here, which is fair. I was happy that with the vampiric change, the bite to make it an arm strike, and then resistance to necrotic damage. I kind of wish that we still had the you don't need to breathe as a little ribbon feature, but it's whatever. It's not that important usually. Not that big a deal most of the time. It's not that big a deal. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on the Dhampir. It's great. I love Dhampir is one of my favorite species, specifically, mostly for the spider climb. You can have so many character ideas of like where you use this. You're standing on walls, you're crawling up ceilings, or like the type of movement that a Dhampir has is unique in that way. Sure, plenty of species get a climbing speed, but not many get the straight up spider climb where you can just walk up and down walls and ceilings, just standing up. And you'd think you could just do any of this with like a species that could fly, and yeah, sure, but flying is kind of boring sometimes. Not that flying isn't useful, but I like the ideas that come to my brain whenever I think of spider climb. And then I enjoy the theorizing that I did for unarmed strike, for the unarmed strike bite, and how I could add on to this, how I could build a character around maybe not biting people all the time, but building a character that makes the bite stronger. To kind of shortcut that, if you didn't want to go just watch the full theory dive, is the important thing to distinguish here is that when you deal this damage to a creature that isn't construct or undead, you can empower yourself with one of the following ways. You gain hit points equal to the piercing damage dealt, or the bonus is equal to the piercing damage dealt. So I kept thinking about different ways to add more piercing damage to this, and one of the only two ways that came up to me at the time was this would work with Hunter's Mark, I believe. Hunter's Mark would work with this, because Hunter's Mark just does more damage, so the more piercing damage the bite does, the more this would stack. The other way that I came up with this is, it's a little bit weird. It's a little bit weird of an interaction, but I think the Barbarian Berserker Rage Damage bonus dice also might work with this too. Because that is on a strength attack, and the Vampiric Bite is when you use an arm strike to deal damage. You can choose to bite with the fangs. You deal piercing damage equal to your Constitution modifier. You can add that to a strength attack, and at the time, unarmed strike would be a strength-based attack, I believe. But then it gets swapped to the Constitution modifier. I think it's something you might have to clear with your DM. But personally, I don't think it's too crazy, because you can only do this a certain amount of times, and it's probably not optimal anyway. You could probably get pretty cracked if it did work like that. You could probably get a pretty cracked plus I don't know, 16 to your next ability check or attack roll if you drain somebody, I guess, if you rolled max damage, if it did work, and then that would scale with the Barbarian, the more levels in Barbarian you have. A Barbarian Dhampir is like one of my character ideas that I've got for it. Anyway, I ended up talking about the fucking Dhampir anyway, after I just said I wasn't going to spend time on it. But I can't help myself. But I am curious. I am more curious what they did with the Hexblood and the Reborn. And of course the Lupin. If you can't tell from the avatar. Big furry here. So I am intensely excited for them adding a fucking canine race. Finally, after fucking 10 plus years of D&D 5th edition, no official canine race is insanity. But I'll get to that later. I'm gonna get rid of Book of Hungers right now. Let's refresh what the Hexblood used to do. I remember their weird gimmick thing. Hexblood were Fey, medium or small, 30 feet. They had Ancestral Legacy, which is the same thing as the thing, as the Dhampir stuff. You had a 60-foot dark vision. You had the Eerie token, which is, as a bonus action, you can harmlessly remove a lock of hair, one of your nails. You can imbue it with magic. While the token is imbued this way, you can take these actions. Telepathic message. As an action, you can send a telepathic message to the creature holding or carrying the token, as long as you were within 10 miles of it. The message can contain up to 25 words. You could do remote viewing, which was the coolest one, where you could just kind of use it as like a sensor to during this trance you can see from here or hear from the token as if you were located where it is. So you could be taking your, like, clipping your toenails and sticking them into walls, you know, until you finish a long rest. You could fire it from you can fire a bit of your hair with a slingshot or something, or like a bolt to like look into a space. Like you could do some cool stuff with it. It's a little weird, but you could do some cool stuff. You can only use it once until you finish the long rest, but it's still cool. Then you got Hex Magic, which is Disguise Self and Hex spells, and you got to choose the thing. It was pretty simple. I don't think in my entire time playing I've ever seen anybody play a Hexblood. I've had an idea for a Hexblood character, but I personally don't think I've ever seen anybody at any of my tables ever play one, because they're kind of forgettable. For most people, I always liked the Hexblood. I thought it was cool. I kept thinking about ways to use this nonsense, but let us see what they did with them. Hexblood's cool. You know, the Hexbloods are in the process of becoming hags. But let's see what they do. We did get to keep Fey as our creature type, still medium or small. Dark vision range of 60 feet. We got Eerie token is still here. It's a bonus action, create a magical token by removing lock your hair. Yeah, same thing. Distant message, as a magic action, you can send a telepathic message of 25 words or fewer to a creature holding or carrying a token, as long as you are within 10 miles of it. Cool. Remote viewing. If you are within 10 miles of the token, you can take a magic action to extend your senses through the token for 1 minute. You have the incapacitated condition, or until you end the state, no action required. During the state, you can see or hear from the token as if you were located where it is. When the state ends, the token is harmlessly destroyed. Unless the token is destroyed early, it lasts until you finish a long rest. Once you create a token using this feature, you cannot do so again until you finish a long rest. Cool. That's basically the same, I think. Pretty much exactly the same, except just tightened up a bit. You know, the words are tightened up a bit. You know, specifically magic action. It's in 2024 update speak, which is fine, perfectly fine. That's all I can think about it. You destroyed early. Oh, the distant message thing, I guess. Since it doesn't specify that it gets destroyed, harmlessly destroyed, like it does with remote viewing. I guess distant message you can do as much as you want, right? Unless the token is restored early, it rests until the long rest. So I'm not sure if you can just send messages of 25 words or fewer to a creature holding the token. Granted, it's one-way communication. They can't talk back to you. But I'm not sure what the point of limiting the amount of words it is if you could just, use the magic action again to continue with what you were saying. Since it doesn't destroy it like the remote viewing does, but it's whatever. It doesn't really matter that much. And then we have Hex Magic. Always have Disguise Self and Hex spells prepared. You can cast each spell once without a spell slot. You regain the ability to cast it when you finish a long rest. You can also cast a spell using any spell slots you have at the appropriate level. It's the same. The Hexblood seems to be mostly unchanged. Which is fine. Hexblood is fine. I don't think I ever saw anybody at my tables, or I don't think I've ever seen anybody do a build where they chose Hexblood as their species, but it's good to have more options. This is we didn't get any more species in the Faerun books. I'm just happy to have some more species options that have been updated to the new rules, loosely. This one's pretty much, it's been 2024ized, with modern, verbiage and design, but otherwise it's pretty much the same, which is, like I said, like I keep saying, is completely fine. I still think my idea of the Hexblood idea I came up with was was a Swarmkeeper Ranger, and they were just this creepy ass spider, old hag lady, not quite a hag yet, but she just was nasty and creepy. I thought it was interesting, but I was just doing that for the sake of it. But I'm not sure what else I have to say on the Hexblood. Like I said, it's pretty much the same. Well, it's I don't know how many times I can say that it's fine that they didn't change much before it just sinks in. All right, that's good. It's okay. I'll who knows? I might cut some of me just repeating myself out, just trying to figure out what else to say about the Hexblood when I don't have much. There's not really much theorizing to do. I mean, remote viewing is definitely cool. You can use it interesting ways, like I was thinking. But yeah, I'm just gonna move on. I'm gonna do something goofy, and I'm gonna save Lupin for last since it's what I'm most excited for. I want to see what if they changed anything with the Reborn. So Reborns used to be humanoid, mutant or small, walking speed 30 feet, ancestral legacy stuff, and then you have deathless nature, you have escape death, factor represented by the following benefits. You have advantage on saving throws against disease or being poisoned, resistant to poison damage. You have advantage on death saving throws. You do not need to eat, drink, or breathe. You don't need to sleep. Magic can't put you to sleep. And then you have knowledge from the past life, which is kind of a floating skill that you had, or it was when you make a ability check that uses a skill, you can roll a d6 immediately after seeing the number on the d20 and add the number on the d6 to the check. You can use this feature number of times equal to you had a floating d6 to your skill checks, right? So pretty simple stuff here. You're just like a partly dead person. So let us see what you guys got. Reborn. Ooh, God. Oh, this is some nasty art. Yeah. It's there to give you ideas, I guess. Because this is the different kind of flavors of Reborn you can be. You could be some fucked up Frankenstein's monster creature. You could be like a straight up pretty much alive zombie. or he could be, like a dead looking ghost person. There's many different ways to flavor a reborn. Reborn individuals who have died yet inexplicably still live. They exhibit scars of fatal ends or ashen flesh, blah blah blah. Flavor stuff that you can read, but let us see if they changed anything. They didn't change it much with the Hexblood, other than updating its verbiage. So we're still humanoid, still medium or small, still 30 feet. We have escaped death. You have advantage on death saving throws. Cool. Everlasting. You don't gain exhaustion levels from dehydration, malnutrition, or suffocation. You don't need to sleep, and magic can't put you to sleep. You can finish a long rest in 4 hours if you spend those hours in active motionless state, during which you retain consciousness. I think this does basically mean the same thing as not needing to eat, drink, or breathe, because you don't get exhaustion levels from dehydration, malnutrition, or suffocating. So and with these, the new updated like verbiage and their like specific explanations on malnutrition and dehydration as hazards, they always cause you exhaustion levels now. So if you don't gain exhaustion levels from these 3 things, then I think it's pretty much the same thing as not needing to eat, drink, or sleep, or breathe. Which sounds obvious, but I'm just throwing it out there. Then we have knowledge of a past life. You gain proficiency in one skill of your choice. In addition, you can temporarily peer into the past to aid you in the present. When you fail, you can roll a d6, add a number to the... When you fail an ability check, you can roll a d6 and add the number to the d20, potentially turning the failure into a success. You can do this proficiency bonus. And then we have strange endurance. You have a resistance to one of the following damage types of your choice: cold, necrotic, or poison. Hey, that's pretty good. We used to just have resistance against disease and being poisoned, and resistance to poison damage, but now you can choose between cold, necrotic, or poison. Fair enough. I mean, that's a little more flexible. You lost the advantage on saving throws against being poisoned, but it's whatever. Really, it's not that big of a loss for the option to get cold, necrotic, or poison damage, as a choice. Poison and necrotic are pretty good choices. Speaking of that, there's a lot of undead that do necrotic damage now. I think necrotic damage is turned into like one of the more common damage types nowadays. And then, poison damage is always poison damage. There's always people shanking you in the back with poison daggers. So, not a bad choice there either. And then cold damage is if you don't get cold, which is fine, Could have been like a reborn that got stuck in the ice, and then you're like a partly frozen person, and you're resistant to cold damage because of that, but you're still dead. Your soul just kept, your soul just stayed there. There you go, character idea. I would suggest Winter Walker Ranger if it wasn't garbage. I'm Josh. Winter Walker isn't terrible. It just forces you to use Monster's Mark. Anyway, I think that's almost pretty much the same. From last time, right? Except we get an extra skill proficiency now, and we have the choice between cold, necrotic, or poison damage resistance whenever we start the character, which is pretty good. I can't complain. Not bad at all. I mean, there's still nothing like the Dhampir's bite here that really feeds my brain to like come up with like a weird combo or anything like that. Nothing like that. So I kind of like the Hexblood. I don't know much. I don't know with much what else to say about it, because you could be a dead anybody, or a partly dead, or for some reason not quite dead anybody. Anything, anybody, wizard. You know, you have Octus in Critical Role, who's playing a Reborn necromancer. I think I've maybe played a Reborn once or twice. I can't remember that character off the top of my head. I do know I have played with people who have played Reborn before, because being somebody who is dead is an interesting thing, and not dead as in like a vampire, but you know, just a dead person walking. It can be interesting, and this fucking art is grossing me out in a good way. I don't know if it's a good way, actually. It's mainly just this guy, this Frankenstein ass motherfucker. It is nasty. If this is supposed to be an example of a type of Reborn you can play, which it is, you know. Reborn was like a catch-all for like, I don't know, like a scarecrow. Your body's stuffed with straw. If you were, you know what? If it was supposed to be this kind of like Reborn thing, they should have added lightning damage down here too. Just because, just to have the option of cold, necrotic, or poison or lightning damage, for the thematic. But it's whatever. But we're gonna move on to the thing I'm most excited for, and I'm avoiding reading, which is the Lupin. Finally, we have dog people. Let me tell you, Wizards of the Coast, how insane have you guys been for the past, what is it? It's 2026, right? The 5th edition started in 2014. How insane have you guys been for the past 12 years to not add a canine race officially of any kind? Listen, everybody, I know there have been third-party books. I know Humblewood has the Fox people. I know people can homebrew. People can there are probably plenty of third-party books that have canine-esque people. But like, for Wizards of the Coast official content, right? That is what I mainly make my character ideas from, because I know for almost a fact that any campaign I join will probably allow anything that's official material. There might be some things here and there of like, I don't like this subclass, or I don't like this rule, so I do it differently, but anything that is official material is pretty safe to build characters around, because it's just part of the core rules, or expanded rules, or in a supplement book, except like dragon marks or something. Dragon marks are pretty obvious, so you probably shouldn't plan a character around them, around having a dragon mark without talking to you or talking to a DM first. But anyway, my point being is that some people like that comfort of like, this is official content. I probably don't have to run it by the DM, and I can just throw them a backstory, and they're gonna be like, oh, that's a Lupin from this book. Yeah, I got that. So there's a sense of comfort there for me when I think of character ideas. I'm sure that the same sense of comfort is there for a lot of other people in the world too. That's one of the things that I remember hearing people talk about, that having an official thing just makes people feel good, right? Makes people feel nice that we have a thing. Anyway, we finally have dog people, a canine race of anything. I've been begging for the past 12 years. Since I started playing 5th edition, I was like, why do we have, like, Tabaxi are awesome, Dragonborn are fucking amazing, even though they kind of suck. I don't care. Immaculate vibes. I cannot play Baldur's Gate 3 without being a Dragonborn. They are too pretty. They are too pretty, even though they are probably the worst species in that game. But how can we have Tabaxi, Leonin, elephant people. We got official rules for the Gith. We got the weird monkey people, like flying monkey people in the Starjammer book. We got like 3 different types of birds, Kenku, Aarakocra, and Owlin. We got the turtle. We got the grung. We have the Locath. Remember the Locath, guys? You can play as a fucking stupid fish, officially. It was in a charity supplement thing, I think. But you can play as a stupid fucking fish. And for the past 12 years, we've gotten like 5 or 7 different types of elves for every setting imaginable, but they couldn't figure out a setting to add a fucking wolf person or a fox person or any form of canid at all in any official supplement book for 5th edition. It has driven me nuts. It has driven me crazy. Small rant, not quite over yet, because naturally, now that we finally have a canine race, I've been begging for a long time, playfully. I sound a little heated right now, but it's all in good fun. I'm having a good time just ranting it out, just airing it out to people. I'm having a fantastic time right now. But naturally, I've been begging for so long, and then the fucking monkey paw closes, right? I get my wolf people. I have got a canine race. Finally, in an official book. And you know what they are? Fucking werewolves. They're people stuck as werewolves. With their bristling fur and snarling muzzles, Lupins are imposing as shadows in the mists. Lupins often arise when encounters from werewolves, in which the curse of lycanthropy didn't fully take hold. Unlike true werewolves, Lupins can't shift between wolf and humanoid form, but are instead stuck as a hybrid transformation. The cursed wolf-like physiology affords Lupin's bestial mind, enhanced instincts, and a dread-inducing howl. The monkey paw closes. I can't just have dog people in my canine equivalent to the tabaxi. I can't just have a race of fox people. I can't just have a species of wolf people. I can't even have a species of like house dog people. Naturally, when I first get my canine species, it's gotta be, they're werewolves that are stuck in a partial form. I'll take what I can get. Don't get me wrong. I'm about to ignore the fuck out of that entirely. Anytime I bring it up, I'm about to ignore it entirely. Maybe I'll make a character. Maybe not. Maybe I'll make a character who had an encounter with a werewolf and got bitten and is a lupine now and are comfortable with themselves as they are with their enhanced senses and whatnot. Maybe that'll be a consideration for me. But why can't we just have gotten dog people? And, you see me here. I'm a furry. Of course it's a thing that I'm ranting about, right? And I still got my dog people. Listen, it's not like I don't like werewolves. I fucking love werewolves. Werewolves are cool. I've been a werewolf for Halloween. When I was a kid, I was a werewolf for Halloween for like 7 years because werewolves were my favorite monster. I think I was a ghost one time when I was really young. And then after that, werewolves. For year after year after year. Werewolves. I love them. Don't get me wrong. But we have the Shifter, who is a partial a person where lycanthropy has filtered down generation after generation, and they still have lycanthropy powers. They still shift into bestial forms sometimes, and they still have enhanced lycan senses, right? We have that. So why couldn't we just have dog people? Why couldn't we just have wolf people in the mist? Why couldn't we just have a species of dog people? I understand it's the Van Richtens, it's the horror book, it's the Domains of Dread and everything, and so naturally, werewolves and whatever. But come on. But what I can hope for from now on is that they do give us another species of canine people. Come on, you guys have 3 different birds. You have elephant, you have hippo, you have turtle, fish, frog, 2 different types of felines, freaking the tabaxi and the leonin. You have the fucking centaur. The centaur was playable before a dog people of some kind of canine people. Anyway, with all of that said, let's see what they do. I know we got a little bit of a preview. Like we were doing me and a person in my server. Shout out to Catboys, who always drops by my stream to ask if there's Catboys around, and there never are. There's never Kenny Catboys. We did some sleuthing, on some of the promotional thing. We saw some of this stuff, but we didn't see the full thing. So now I'm here to see the full thing. Getting on to the actual traits, we are humanoid. We are medium or small. We are speed of 30 feet. Come on, I wish that was 35, but that's a moot point. I'm just bitching at this point. Don't mind me, guys. I'm just bitching because I'm salty as all hell. I'm salty for reasons that have already been explained. I wish that was 35 feet, but it's okay. Dark vision is a range of 60 feet, which is fine. Feral pounce. Your unarmed strikes deal slashing damage instead of bludgeoning damage. In addition, when you hit a creature with an armed strike as part of an attack action on your turn, you can use both the damage and shove options. You can use this benefit only once per turn. Is that just like partial unarmed fighting style? Let me double check. Library. View my library. Hold on, guys. I'm doing it live. Players Handbook. Fighting style feats. Dueling. Unarmed fighting. You can deal bludgeoning, blah blah blah. If you aren't holding any weapons, am I crazy? I might just be nuts. Anyway, I'm not worried about it. So, all right, we have some synergy with unarmed strikes. We can do damage and shove people, at least once a turn. Sure, I guess. I'm not exactly sure why this matters, or not why this matters. I'm not sure what this I get the slashing damage part. This is fine. You could have just had us have a natural weapon like with werewolf claws and teeth and stuff. That's fine. But this part with the damage and shove only once per turn. It's kind of rude. But it's fine. I'm happy to have dog people finally. I'm going to ignore that they're werewolves. I'm going to have my dog people, and I'm going to have a good time. And then we also get Howl. As a bonus action, you let out an unearthly howl. Each creature of your choice within 15 feet of you must succeed on a wisdom saving throw based on our Constitution modifier, or have disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws until the start of your next turn. You can use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. You gain all uses when you finish a long rest. That's pretty neat. Because this lends to. Most of my ideas for a theoretical dog person was like a martial character anyway. So having a good Constitution modifier comes with a given for that type of character. So this is something you can build around. Kind of being a little bit of a support, sort of. Disadvantage on all attack rolls and saving throws until the start of your next turn. And saving throws is pretty big. I'll ignore my gripe with being able to just damage and shove people with my stuff. I should stop yapping. I should stop being ungrateful. really, honestly. If I'm honest with myself, I should just stop being ungrateful, because I'm just a salty little bitch. I'm just a salty little bitch that it took them 12 years. I can math, I promise, to give me dog people. But disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws. Saving throws is big. If you're gonna build like a fighter or a barbarian or a ranger or paladin or monk or somebody who's up in the business, throwing disadvantage on saving throws until the start of your next turn can have some synergy with the rest of your party. Your howl fucking fucks up everybody that you get near, disadvantage on all saving throws is pretty nasty. So I'm happy that my dog people have a good feature. So yeah, some kind of martial character with a howl, where we use this howl pretty often to mess with our own spell, perhaps mess with our own effects if we're like a battle master or a paladin or a ranger or something. You could use this. You could use this as a spellcaster too. You just would have to get within 15 feet of whoever the fuck you're messing with and have a high Constitution modifier. Which, I mean, every character wants a decent Constitution modifier, so you can use it. It's flexible and you can use it with other people as long as you're not afraid of getting in within 15 feet of stuff. But moving on, we have proficiency in the perception, stealth, or survival skills. So we just get another skill proficiency. That is fine. I was hoping for some kind of innate like bonus to perception or anything, but it's okay. This makes sense. Stealth, survival, or perception proficiency just by being because of wolf stuff. That is cool. All right. I have plenty of character ideas. I have been unleashed. Now I have dog people. Now I can unleash all of my repressed dog people characters that I've ever wanted to make. So I appreciate anybody who sat through me ranting about the Lupin and Wizard of the Coast travesty, their great crime of not giving us a canine race for 12 years. So I appreciate anybody who sat through that and thought it was funny. I was mainly yapping about it for entertainment. To be real, of course I'm a little salty. I definitely am. But I let it go that way out of my heart, out of my soul, out of my furry soul, because I thought it might be entertaining for somebody to listen to. But in any case, I appreciate anybody who's been here, who watched the video. And I will be back with more stuff. I'm going to cover the feats. I'm going to cover the changes they've made from the Unearthed Arcana to the subclasses too. I just, I had I got to get to work earlier tomorrow, so I didn't have like an hour or two to go through all the feats and stuff. So I started with the species because I was also very excited for the Lupin. But I appreciate it. Keep an eye on me if you'd like to. I'd appreciate it if you like and subscribe and all that good YouTube stuff. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, I stream every Tuesday on Twitch, so feel free to join me there. I have a Discord server that's always in my description. If you want to just yap about D&D or keep up with my stream announcements or just bother me, feel free. And if you want to support me monetarily in any way, I've got a Ko-Fi. Any tip helps, but I would appreciate it. But by all means, even if it's just $1, I will live. I'm still in the process of trying to get this and my voice acting stuff to where I can just like do fun stuff for my life and be able to live comfortably. But anyway, hope you have a good night, good day, good whatever time zone it is at the moment, and I will see you for more D&D stuff next time. Bye bye.